to County Fair on Waycross Community Media. I'm Dana Gagnon, Government Programming Coordinator, and this is the program where we keep you in touch with things that are going on in Hamilton County. And today we have with us a special guest from the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency in Hamilton County, and this is Emily Johnson. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So we have a lot, your agency covers a lot in Hamilton County when it comes to safety and emergency and preparedness. And we're just going to cover a few of those things today, but people can go to your website to take a look at all the different things you're doing. So I just want to mention that at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, great.
hcready.org, they can go there and get a bigger picture of all the things.
Absolutely. We have preparedness tips for many different hazards that we face here in the county, from flooding to tornadoes, and stuff about our outdoor warning sirens, the sirens that go off the first Wednesday of every month, what those mean and what you should do when you hear them. So we have lots of material on our website for people to check out.
That's actually, that's something I want to just pause and mention.
Sure.
You don't always know who's in charge of, we hear the siren the first Wednesday of every month, unless there's inclement weather, and then it gets postponed.
Correct.
See, I am paying attention.
Yes, you are.
But it's hard to know, well, who do we check with, and when does it mean something? That's you.
Yeah, that would be our agency. So it's really important to have more than one way to be notified of severe weather. So our outdoor warning sirens actually go off only for tornado warnings or a hazardous material release. And they're actually only supposed to notify people that are outside to immediately go indoors. That is the intention of those sirens. But if anybody has any questions about those, they can always contact our agency, check our Twitter and our Facebook, or just call us directly.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. And that's just a very direct way that people interact with your agency when thinking, oh, this is an agency in Hamilton County I'm not sure I've heard of. You have literally heard this agency every Wednesday.
Absolutely. First Wednesday.
Every first Wednesday of the month. Talking about those alerts and the fact that you don't get a lot of information just from that sound.
Correct.
There is a way that residents can sign up for alerts. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely, happy to. So we have a brand new system here in Hamilton County. It's called Alert Hamilton County. They can sign up for 43 different weather alerts. They can get them via text, email, or even voice call for the big, most dangerous ones like flash flood warning or tornado warning, evacuation, things like that. So they can go into just alerthc.org. They can fill out a quick safety profile and ask to be signed up for all these different alerts. And then what's really great about this program, it's connected to something called Smart 911, so that they fill out their profile. It has their information, their medical information. You could even include pets, pictures, and home access information. So when you put your cell phone number in there, your landline, when you call 911, your information is going to pop up for dispatchers at the communication center. And then they can send that information to first responders and get the help that you need even quicker. So it's very important that people sign up.
That's fantastic. So it's not, and is that information keyed to the phone number that they put in for
Yes,
their
it
alert?
is. Yes, it
So
is.
if you use that phone to call 911, they instantly have access to all the things that you might be in too much of an emergency situation to give them.
Correct. Great example would be if you have an autistic child at home and you fill out your profile to include that information will pop up when your registered phone number calls 911. Then they can pass that along to firefighters and police officers and let them know this is a high sensory oriented child. Just be aware when you go in. Or even a dog. If you have an aggressive animal, just be sure to include that information in there. Put a picture in there so that when the police arrive on scene, they will know ahead of time that there may be an aggressive dog on scene.
That's fantastic. And unfortunately, we hear about it when something goes wrong. When someone is an individual that responds differently to stimuli, then that is really important in a 911 situation, an emergency situation. You don't always have time to find that out.
Right.
So to have that pre-programmed then. So definitely this is something that everyone in Hamilton County should go to alerthc.org.
And it's free and it's private. All of your information is completely secure. There's no way for the government to access it, me to access it. Even our vendor can't access it. It will only pop up if you call 911.
That's key. That is
It
really
really
important.
is.
Okay. So that's good. we will definitely make sure that we share that information in some other places too, I think.
And even for people that have maybe elderly parents that they care for but don't necessarily live with, fill out your safety profile to include their information and their phone number. So say if they fall or they need to call 911, they're in a car accident and they need to call 911, dispatchers can actually notify you if your contact information is linked in the same profile.
If someone doesn't text, because a lot of these are keyed to that.
Sure.
But they want to go online and fill this out. Is there a way that it will be set up so that it will work with voice alerts for flash floods, for these emergencies?
So the voice alerts will only be utilized in the most dangerous or severe alerts. So that's your evacuation, your shelter in place, tornado, flash flood, flood warning. So it's only for those specific alerts will they get an actual phone call.
So it's still worth filling that out because they will get those emergencies.
Yes, absolutely.
But they'll also get the smart 911
Yes.
connections. So
Yes.
that whenever they call 911 from their house, that information will
Yep,
pop out.
correct.
So that's good. It's not just for people who want their stuff all on their
Right,
cell phone.
yeah, it's a way for you to help the government, and it's also a way for us to help you, get the help to those that need it the quickest. So
That's
it's
really
very
important.
important for people to sign up.
That's great. I'm so glad you came to tell us about
Yeah.
that. Because this time of year, we are seeing not just cold winter weather, but flooding right now.
Right.
The Emergency Management Security Agency has some information to help make sure we can stay safe during this season.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So like I mentioned about having multiple ways to receive alerts, it is so important that you have a NOAA weather radio at home. You can pick those up online. You can go to Target or any hardware store. They're about $25 to $35. Pick one up. They are still the most reliable way to get alerts. So I really recommend that. The Alert Hamilton County is fabulous. Following a trusted social media site is also very important. So like your local government, your jurisdictional police and fire, those are also great ways to learn about information. But just having a plan for what you're going to do if there is a flood, you might not be at home or with your family when an emergency or severe weather happens. So it's really important to know how you all are going to stay in contact with each other and then how you're going to respond to that severe weather. Along those lines, having a preparedness kit is very, very important. All year round, severe weather can happen. So just having a kit ready to go is very important. So people need plenty of food and water. So in your household, you should have 1 gallon per person per day. So that can stock up to be a lot of water, but it is very important because you'll use it for bathing, drinking, cleaning, washing your hands, things of that nature, very important. Flashlights and batteries, cannot say that enough, that is very important. And then just a standard first aid kit. Now that it's in between cold weather and the flooding weather, it's important to have blankets too in case it is cold. And even I really recommend having comfort items for your family members, your children. If you have infants or toddlers, maybe a blanket or just like a little stuffed animal for them to cling on to, or older children to keep them busy, maybe some cards or some coloring books. That would be really helpful as well. But what's really important to communicate to people is the idea of when you approach a flooded road to never try to drive through it, just to turn around, don't drown. That's what we always say. You never know how dangerous or how deep that water is. So it's just important to just stop and turn around before you have to, call for help. And especially when roads are closed, don't ever try to drive around the barriers. We do run into that upon occasion. So just if you see a barrier, if a road is closed, it is closed for your safety. So just don't drive down that road.
Okay, that's important. And I know there are lots of lists to help people put together the right things in their kits. And one of the things that is important if someone has a required medication, that they have some of that's not expired, that they rotate.
Absolutely.
That's in their that's in their kit. Because in the case of an emergency, they may not be able to get their next prescription
Absolutely.
filled. Whether it's for them or for another family
Absolutely.
member.
That's very important as well. And even if you rely on a medical device, maybe if it requires power, to have a battery backup ready, or even, like I mentioned, a plan earlier, where are you going to go if the power is out and you rely upon this device for your health? So it's very important to have those things in place before severe weather strikes so that you can quickly respond and keep yourself and your family safe.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is to have it planned. Then you're not
Absolutely.
scrambling and you're not thinking, oh, here's the flashlight, but I forgot the batteries have been dead for 3 years.
Right.
And how many of us open a flashlight and shake out the batteries and they have corroded and now your whole flashlight is gone? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely something
yeah.
to. What about if you have pets? What should you get ready in preparedness for
Yeah.
that?
So great question. So pets, it's very important that we take care of them as well. A lot of people won't evacuate or leave their home without their pets. So it is important that we know how we're going to take care of them. So just to make sure that your pet is properly identified, it has the ID tags, maybe keeping its medical records in a little folder you can keep in your preparedness kit that you can grab and go. Some extra food, they need food and water too. So if you're preparing for your family, your pet is included in that. So you need to make sure that they have those items and maybe a toy, a little ball that they can chew on, and a leash. Very important that you have that leash ready to go in case you do need to evacuate quickly. And another thing, with the flooding, we have seen a lot of basement flooding in homes. If your pet hangs out in the basement. If you have a cat who's maybe litter boxes in the basement, remove all of the items in your basement if it's prone to flooding that your pet would be drawn to, so that your pet isn't going to be in any danger when it comes to basement flooding issues.
That's a good point, because sometimes when we don't see the whole neighborhood flooding, we don't think about this.
Right.
But if our pet's space is the space that's flooded,
Right.
that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
And the leash, I think, is important, because some of us have pets that normally don't go on leashes, but we may have to evacuate to a place where that's the only way they will be allowed,
Right.
and we don't want to be scrambling thinking, oh no, what are we going to do, and this one doesn't fit them, and,
Right,
I
yeah.
need to have a harness or all of that. You can do that ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Have that right in your kit.
Yeah. And you
That's
can even, ahead of time, there is a website available on our website, hcready.org. It will
Okay.
take you to a different link under severe weather preparedness. There is a link where you can actually check hotels in the area that will take pets. So if you do need to evacuate and leave your home, leave your area, your neighborhood, you can find a hotel that might be more suitable for you and your pets.
So maybe that's something for folks while they're making their list and making their kits to look up ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Because in a power outage,
Yes.
it's harder to access the website.
Absolutely. This is definitely a plan ahead for when this happens later.
Okay.
So this is definitely something that people should start talking about now. Get the kids involved in this plan and make sure everyone knows what the plan is going to be. Make sure everyone knows where your preparedness kit is. So like I mentioned, the flood-prone basements, if your basement tends to flood, maybe don't keep your preparedness kit down there.
Good,
Keep it in like a watertight, I recommend those just Tupperware containers, Rubbermaid containers. Keep them in like a hall closet where everyone can find them, they can reach them, and that you can just quickly grab and go if you need to.
That's excellent. So we've talked about flooding because
Yeah.
we're seeing that kind of weather.
Sure.
Let's talk about, because it's February, winter weather. Because this is Cincinnati, so winter can be warm and flooding, or it can be freezing and blizzards.
Absolutely.
So what are some things, if we change directions a little bit weather-wise, what are some things we should be ready for that?
Well, absolutely. I think winterizing your vehicle is very important, especially we get freezing rain here. It could be snow the next day, and the next day it could be ice. So it's really important that your car is prepared to handle all of those different elements. So that means keeping your gas tank at least halfway filled. Some people say quarter tank, I say half tank just to be extra safe. And also making sure that the fluid, the windshield wiper fluid in your car is fully filled up, so that if you need to clean your windshield, you're good to go there. I recommend keeping a preparedness kit in your car. So you have one for your home, keep one in your car, because if you get stranded in the ice or in the snow, you'll have a stock of blankets, and you'll have water and food. I recommend for food in the car, maybe granola bars, trail mix, maybe some peanut butter and some crackers, things of that nature, to give you just that bump of energy and a little bit of protein to keep you going. I also recommend, if you are stranded in your vehicle during the winter months, to stay in your car. Turn on your flashers, call for help. Keep that cell phone charger in your preparedness kit and hook that up. I also recommend, so if you are stranded in your car, turn the car on about every 10 minutes every hour. Make sure that your tailpipe isn't covered with snow, so that you're not exposed to carbon monoxide. And that is a really good way to stay safe. And having blankets, very important. Every time it's icy, I make sure to put some blankets in my car just in case, I do get stranded. So it's very important that people think ahead, that they're prepared for the winter months. But back to our home preparedness. So it's very important that that preparedness kit is at all times stocked, ready with blankets, food, and water. But power outages, like we saw in November with that ice storm that we had come through, it was a very big teaching moment for people that they needed to know how to stay warm when the power is out. So it's great if you have a fireplace at home and you're able to heat your home that way. That's wonderful. If you do, we recommend keeping like a glass barrier up to make sure that the embers stay inside the fireplace and they're not jumping out. But also, we also recommend to not heat it with your oven. If you have a wood stove at home, some people still have wood stoves at home, keep the grate closed. Don't leave it open because children, animals, it's just dangerous. But also some good tips would be if you have extra blankets, maybe some bath towels lying around, put them in the drafty areas of your home. So blocking out around your window, on your windowsill, and your doors, keep the draft out and keep the heat in. We also recommend to have everyone in your home just have some nice family time, gather in one room so your body heat, you can stay together, keep yourselves warm, and then to close all other doors to your home. So bedrooms that aren't being used, just close those doors so you can trap as much heat in as possible.
And I think because you mentioned embers, that's something that happens during a power outage, is that those of us who live modern lives that might not usually use candles or oil lamps or all kinds of clever things that we can use that don't need batteries, which is really great during a power outage. But if we're not used to them, we might not think, don't put this candle here, it's near something. Make sure this flame has got a chimney around it, or things like that. So those are things that during a power outage, like your fireplace, if you never use your fireplace, the chimney might not be.
It might need some maintenance.
Yeah.
So maybe every year leading up to winter weather, maybe in the fall, you get your chimney inspected professionally to get it cleaned, make sure everything is in good working order, so that when you fire it up, that it's going to work properly for you. And just a note on the candles, and even your fireplace, make sure things that can burn are at least 3 feet away from it. That's a really good way to stay fire safe and stay nice and warm.
Yeah, and that's important because if our fireplace is mostly a decoration at home, we put all kinds of things around it.
Sure.
And it might not be in our daily awareness that, okay, it's functioning now. There's fire in there.
Right.
We're taking advantage of that. That's great during our power outage, but also we have to make sure it's ready. And having our chimneys maintained so we're ready for it. If we've got a fireplace that we can use, why not keep it ready for these kinds of things?
Yes.
Excellent. And blankets and things in the car.
Yes.
That's always
very important, because you never know when severe weather or an emergency can happen. So it's really important that you plan ahead, that you have your preparedness kit, that you've signed up to get weather alerts with Alert Hamilton County, and that you're signed up for Smart 911. So if you do need to call 911, you'll be ready to go.
And it will have all of your extra information in there, because we've entered that when we went to alerthc.org and signed up for everything.
Absolutely.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to make sure that Hamilton County residents know about to help keep them safe, at least through this part of the year?
I would just recommend staying weather aware whenever severe weather is headed our way, just to regularly check the weather forecast. If you're headed out to school or to work, or you have other plans, check to see what the weather is going to be before you go, and to know how you're going to respond if you do get a weather alert on your phone or you hear the outdoor warning sirens going off. Just know your plan ahead of time.
True, and actually that reminds me, we were talking about keeping warm, and of course not everyone has a fireplace.
Sure.
Usually during an emergency, some of the local community spaces will open up as warming centers.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency will send out press releases, and we make sure we try to get that out on our bulletin boards as well. And you had mentioned earlier staying in tune with the Twitter account of your local police department or your Facebook account, or just keeping track with, often the libraries will be a warming center, sometimes your community center is, so just to make sure you have an access to what is on that list.
Yes.
Where can I go? Where can I take the important things my family need, because I already have them in my kit?
Yes, you do.
And I can just go over to the warming center with my phone charger
and
that's
warm.
Important.
Yes.
And I think I want to mention that because people don't want to. They feel like, oh, I'll be fine. And it can get to a point where your house is dangerously cold.
Absolutely.
And then you need to it's okay. That's why those centers are there.
Right, absolutely. So just check on our webpage. It will always be updated with the most current information during an emergency, just hcready.org, one-stop shop.
Excellent.
If you just check our page, we'll have updated information about where you can go to stay warm and safe and dry.
And checking the weather sounds so simple, but sometimes we hear it in the background without registering it. And so much of being ready is easier when you know, hey, there's flooding going on right now. Let's make sure we don't leave the stuff in the basement.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure, hey, it's going to drop to negative temperatures. Let's make sure the kids are waiting for the school bus with the right amount of layers on.
Yes.
Which is a big difficulty in an area like this where the weather is not consistently freezing.
Right.
So we're used to constantly layering up for that.
Right.
But being extra aware, especially this time of year.
Yeah. It's the best
important.
way to protect your home and to protect your family is to know what's coming. So if flooding is predicted, heavy rains are coming, maybe if you have appliances that are in your basement, prop them up, elevate them so that they're not sitting on the ground level. Maybe consider even anchoring your water heater, because if floodwaters rise and your water heater gets detached, that could be pretty detrimental with your gas line ruptured right there. But so it is very important that you know what's coming so you can adequately prepare.
Prepare for that. Thank you so much
course.
for coming in. And we know so much more now
Good.
about being ready, but we also know that we can go to hcready.org and find links to all kinds of ways to do this.
Absolutely.
And we can go to alerthc.org to sign up for this, but also to be part of Smart 911,
Yes, you can.
which is a fantastic service. That's great. And I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching County Fair on Waycross Community Media. Tune in next time to keep in touch with what's going on in Hamilton County.